And welcome to our live stream here on YouTube. This one's an exclusive and we'll be back in about 2 minutes. So tell your friends and foes that we're here at the Smash News Network, least busted name in news, broadcasting live about everything from the sun to nor'easters to that guy from Russia, that from China, okay? China. We'll be back in about 2 minutes. All right, so welcome everybody to another live stream here at the Smash News Network, least busted name in news. You may have noticed that we're broadcasting once again from the galactic core, Sagittarius A star. It's where we go when we're too frightened to broadcast from here in the outskirts of the Milky Way galaxy. Thanks to all of our spaced out viewers for tuning in. And let's bring up some satellite imagery. So we've got all kinds of current events going on at the moment. It's a perfect time when various different playlists coincide at the right time. So we're going to bring up a massive satellite image here of the nor'easter that is putting people right in their keister in Allentown, Pennsylvania. I just saw a Facebook post a few minutes ago from a former teammate, shout out to John O'Neill, giving out some good advice, telling people to stay home if you don't need to drive at the moment, as there is a driving snow out there. And we'll actually see if we'll bring up some webcams here for a minute to show some of the scenes in the Northeast as winter continues odd and odd. Many of us want it to end, because we've already had plenty of winter this year. Let us know in the comments what your theories are as to why the X button does not work. I mean, can you hear me pressing it? I'm pressing the button. It just ain't working. I don't know what's up with it. I'll need control back of my own computer. There we go. So there's some satellite imagery. It's, you could say, a little cloudy, all the way from Florida to Maine. And I'm telling you, there is a webcam. There they are. By the way, when you zoom in on these maps, it will actually show you additional webcams. So quite a heavy snow situation. Let me bring up the radar for just a quick minute. We're getting some quite significant bands of snow moving in to our local region. And if you've got an Instagram or something like that, let us know in the comments. Perhaps we'll feature it on the channel here. Let's bring up weather radar. And oh man, it looks like it's almost done snowing here. So keep in mind, folks, this is often a little bit deceptive. We'll bring up an additional Doppler radar a little bit later. Here's a webcam in New Jersey. It looks like they have a webcam of a waste treatment center, perhaps. Not sure exactly what that is supposed to be. And earlier this month, oh, okay, there you go. That's a better thing to have a webcam of. It's an airport, so I think we'd be just a few hours, just 2 hours ago, it was only wet there, and now it is a straight up whiteout. Even some camera snow compaction happening there. The sudden whiteout, whatever airport that is, I have no idea. It's in Clinton, New Jersey, in Alexandria Township. If you want to go watch that one yourself, feel free. We'll take that back off the screen here. And this one's located at the base of Bear Creek Mountain. So probably plenty of delighted snowboarders up there at the moment, enjoying some fresh powder. So what have you all been up to? Let us know in the comments. We'll put your comments on the screen here momentarily when we have some. And we've been snowbound today, so we decided to create some additional live streaming content. There is a coronal mass ejection on the way, expected to arrive tomorrow. And we'll put up some current imagery, which we stream regularly live to our Twitch channel. Don't forget to check that out. Install the Twitch mobile app, twitch.tv/smashomash, as most of our live streaming content can be found there. So here are the last couple of hours in ionized helium. And it's been an interesting day, week, month, and year when it comes to things like space weather. So many longtime viewers may be aware that we started to make space weather videos just before our most recent solar minimum, which happened in there's some argument over whether it happened in November or December of 2019. We'll just say the fourth quarter of 2019. And a lot of folks seemed to think that we were about to go into some kind of an ultra-weak solar cycle known as a grand solar minimum, as solar cycle 24 is the weakest solar cycle that we have in the modern era, at least. So going back into, you could say, I'll say going back into the 1950s, solar cycle 24 by far the weakest sunspot cycle that we've seen. And it seemed like a good time to take a deep dive into heliophysics, as when I took college astronomy in the mid-90s, I realized there was a bit of a hole in the realm of cosmology. I almost decided to pursue a degree in stellar cosmology. However, that would have been basically a new major at the time, as it was sort of just an emerging field of astronomy, sort of just like a specificity in the realm of astronomy. But unfortunately, I realized with a 4-year degree, I would get a pretty lame job, while NASA would have hired me with a 4-year BS in astronomy. It was not the kind of job that I was looking for, as I was looking for some deeper understandings of things at the sort of galactic scale, right? So, who else thinks Russia's toast? That's one of the things that I've been thinking. I've been thinking that Russia's toast. And I'll tell you what's not toast is our Twitter feed. So make sure you follow us on Twitter. If you don't already do so, check us out on Twitter. It's at Smashomash, just as it sounds. SMASHOMASH, Smashomash. A gaming name that was created back in 1999 when I played my first multiplayer online gaming experience. Little history on that. I started out playing FPS in the realm of Special Ops 2 Green Berets. So that was the first foray that I had into the realm of online multiplayer FPS. And that remains the only type of online game I play. At the moment, I did play Grand Theft Auto 5 online for a little while. Became one of the best golfers, racers, both in air and land racing, and one of the best tennis players in the world on on Xbox 360 Grand Theft Auto 5. So if you ever look at the leaderboards for those and you see Mrs. Grumpy up there, that was actually me. I was the only person playing that. It was Smash Staff's account, actually. And thanks for letting us dip my tippy toe into the realm of Grand Theft Auto 5. So Smash Staff is the GF as well as the IT department here at the Smash News Network, these Busted Name and News. And so that's also our social media department. So while I do interact on social media, most of our daily posts, sharing our videos and so on, those are typically Smash staff doing that. And of course, we've created a massive web ring. So in addition to the Twitter account, you can also find us on Facebook and pretty much all over the internet. For example, you may want to check out smashomash.com/smashteam. Here are the latest posts on that. I'll give you a sneak peek for once, since this is a YouTube exclusive live stream. So here's our latest posts. You'll actually see all the posts here for once because I am logged in. I think I'm logged in. I better be logged in. I won't be able to see my own posts. So that's the point, folks. If you are a paid Smash Team member, my computer is more bound up than a person on a cheese-only diet. All right, here we go. So one of the reasons why we made this video was to endorse Eugene the Philosopher. So we invited him to come on the channel for the video, but he didn't quite get to it. Not sure if he's in a gulag in Belarus or if he is just busy doing something else. We're hoping it's the latter choice. And we'll play a little tidbit here. The video is entitled Ukraine Special, and the thumbnail says, Macron and Schultz told Putin to attack Ukraine. Here's a little clip.
To happen, so to speak. And yeah, it's very unfortunate that like tens of thousands of Russians and...
So anyway, we don't want to play too much for you. That's a little teaser there. Make sure you subscribe to Eugene the Philosopher. We've been working together for a long, long time. And Eugene is on many different videos, on many different playlists. So while this video appears on the Smash News Network Least Busted Name and News playlist, SNN, yes, SNN. It also will appear on Daily Space Weather, weekly live stream. And these live streams are all, of course, collaborative efforts. So we appreciate your comments, and we put those on the screen when some get left. So, and thanks for tuning in, everybody. I see, let's see, looks like we have 7 viewers here according to the YouTube software. So they were giving you some insider information as to what's going on at the Smash Team website. Smashomash.com/SmashTeam is where that's located. And I'm going to bring up some more solar imagery here while I go on a break. So we're going to take about 2 or 3 minutes here to play you another ditty, more original music from Golden Cat Productions. This one's called Tilt-A-Whirl 2. And again, I'll be back in 2 or 3 minutes. I'm just going to bring up some additional imagery here of El Sol. So here's a 48-hour video. It should be totally sweet. Again, I'll be back momentarily. All right, so it's a pretty good 48-hour video, I'd say. And thanks for leaving comments, those of you who have. Let's bring up some additional imagery here. So we are expecting a coronal mass ejection strike around midday tomorrow. And that would be universal time tomorrow. Tomorrow's Sunday, March 13th. A little bit of a disparity between what NOAA and NASA are expecting. I would say that NASA is on a little bit of a higher need-to-know basis, since when solar radiation storms show up, people have to get in radiation shelter rooms on the International Space Station, for example. So that's a real issue. And you know what's interesting is the way that I got involved in very precisely forecasting earthly weather was because of the realm of cycling. So interestingly enough, now I know a cyclist who's going into space. So I found that to be super interesting. You know, cycling is a great sport in that it makes the world shrink. So let us know in the comments if you're a bicyclist. And we're going to do a little news crawl here. We're going to go to a couple of different sites, as is the typical procedure on our live streams. So I'm going to have to put some some headphones on here because, and actually let me change hats briefly. So there we go. I've removed my red hat and put on my orange hat because nothing says don't run me over or shoot me like Blaze Orange clothing. So let me put on the headphones here to make sure that I'm not playing any copyrighted information. And thanks for leaving comments, everybody who has. We're going to put those on the screen here momentarily. First, let's take a look at the monstrosity, the original fake news. That is cbsnews.com. As they have this giant header on their webpage, I'm going to let it slowly scroll like a monolith, scrolling over your soul. You know, the great thing about looking at the abyss, folks, is knowing that nobody's looking back. So, of course, massive, massive propaganda on the interwebs, as well as on a lot of televisions right now. And if you're wondering where I stand on things like sanctions on totally innocuous things like selling Coca-Cola to Russians, I think that such things are not beneficial, as Putin does not rely on Coca-Cola or online gaming or anything like that. I think those are ineffective and ridiculous things. So being a pragmatist, I am, let's just say I'm anti-war, but I'm also anti-sanctions because it doesn't help, folks. It doesn't help. So my friend Eugene, he lives in Minsk, Belarus. And Belarusians are a little bit, shall we say, upset that Russian forces are launching weapons, supply chains, troop movements, and so on into Ukraine from the country of Belarus. That is met with less than optimal levels of morale from the country in which they're originating. So that's yet another reason for us to broadcast from the galactic core here instead of from where we normally broadcast from, which is, of course, from planet Earth. And our normal star field, if you're wondering, that's actually Deneb up there. So that bright blue star that you see there, that's Alpha Cygni, the brightest star in the constellation Cygnus. And so we're regularly panning that star field. There's a reason for that. Anyway, you can see the headlines, which are Russian forces close on Kiev and bombard Mariupol. I believe that Mr. Bagashov is correct. So Eugene's stance on what's going on with Russia is that Russia is self-destructing. Now, we've seen a lot of self-destruction on planet Earth in the past 2 years. COVID idiocy. We've seen a lot of self-destruction in the past 2 years. And I believe we're just seeing a little more of that as Putin has decided that it's time to, I don't know, self-destruct, I guess? It seems like a terrible idea. So, but then again, folks, do you really honestly know somebody's motives? Anyway, we'll bring up the biggest news headline here on CBSNews.com.
We begin this morning with the rapidly deteriorating.
Perhaps not because it's legit, but because it is the original. Because it is the original fake news. The former employer of Walter Cronkite during his biased coverage of the Vietnam conflict. So anyway, there you go. There is the horribly grim situation. I suppose everybody's going to celebrate when Russia loses and dissolves into chaos. But this is what CBS News is saying about it. I'll just let the article scroll here quickly. If you're watching this in syndication, feel free to pause the video. The beauty of video on demand is that we'll be here when you press unpause. So we're also going to go to some perhaps less objectionable news sources here. In the meantime, here's some more imagery of what's going on at the galactic core. And if you're frightened of Sagittarius A star, folks, I highly recommend you take physics and astronomy. You can ask your physics and your astronomy professors if that little blue dot there in the center of that image is something to be frightened of. And I have a feeling you'll get a rather unanimous series of answers to all of those people that understand the physics and astrophysics and whatever other science terms you want to throw out there to claim that, oh, Sagittarius A star, oh, it's so scary. I seriously used to be scared of Sagittarius A star when I was in about 3rd grade. But since then, I have expanded my horizons. So speaking of expanded horizons, we've expanded the horizons of the internet itself. And I think we've made some contributions to make Earth not suck again by simply creating our own websites. And you've done the same, and thanks for doing so by leaving comments on the channel. So let's scroll these. I'm going to try to get through them here. Good morning to Retro Roman Doomsday and Simulation channel. A lot of people think we're living in a simulation, which is, I think, what he's referring to, what his name is referring to. His first online, his or her, or Z's first online game was Might and Magic. One of the things that was encouraging to me was that I was actually quite good at Special Ops 2 Green Berets, which is a first-person shooter. It does include some, it's objective missions. When you play single player, when you play online, there are all sorts of different game types. You can play as a deathmatch, team deathmatch, as well as, I think, objective missions. We usually played either deathmatch or team deathmatch. And the most exciting was actually deathmatch, because deathmatch is just kill everything that moves. You know, every man for himself deathmatch. It's pretty hardcore. So making steps to go off grid, that seems like a great idea. Congratulations on that. Make sure you get battery backup, solar panels, well pumps, maybe even, I don't know, wood gasifiers. There's so many things, folks. I mean, I guess the first thing you want to start out with is just a base, a gas generator, maybe a diesel generator, depending on the size of your operation. You know, what's interesting, folks, is that there are a lot of free resources here on planet Earth. The idea that we're exhausting all the natural resources and mankind is drinking up all the water and pumping out all of the oil and everything will be exhausted in a matter of only days. We only have days to save the planet. Folks, the reality is that if mankind disappeared, in 100 years you'd barely be able to find proof that mankind existed. If all humans just simultaneously vanished, how much of human civilization would still be visible 100 years from now, 1,000 years from now, 10,000 years from now? Let us know in the comments what you think. Let us know in the comments what you drink. This is some SodaStream infused carbonated water. Oh, great times, great times. And once again, thanks to Mothra, me dear old mum, for hooking us up with a SodaStream for Christmas. Another brilliant present. Maybe not quite as good as the air fryer, but pretty good indeed. Yeah, home carbon dioxide infusions are highly recommended. And let's put your comments back on the screen here as I digress. Thanks for leaving comments. Aaron Soleil. Is it Soleil or Soul? And has your soul been cast into an ever-deepening and darkening abyss of River Styx water, unseasonal snow in mid-March, and doggy-doo smell cones? And thanks for leaving a comment, Smasho Staff, and Anna Marie Kimball, and Aaron Soul. Congratulations, you've self-censored. Somebody typed something and then retracted their own message. Oh my God. Oh my God. I hope it didn't get us demonetized from YouTube. Just kidding, folks. Your comments won't get us demonetized from YouTube. Anne Marie Kimball doesn't believe that he's self-destructing, and that comment is enough to earn a wrench. So you're our latest moderator, also Aaron Soul, but Anna Marie Kimball, our latest moderator. Congratulations. Here's a slow clap from El Smasho Del Masho Tank. Once again, I'm wearing the orange hat because nothing says don't run me over or shoot me like Blaze Orange clothing. If I was worried you're going to shoot me, I'd be wearing something a little bit more camouflage from the neck up. So, of course, I'm a little bit camouflaged here as I'm on a green screen, but I'm not keyed out. You want to see what my keying looks like? It's all jacked up. I'm going to show you some insider stuff. Here's what my color key looks like. There you go. Now I'm kind of, no, it's not too bad actually. And here's my color correction. Yowzers. Oh my God. I'm from Mars. Anyway, just figured I'd share that just for fun. And thanks for tuning in and leaving comments, Mr. Keebler, which reminds me to remind you to subscribe to Mr. Keebler's channel. In fact, make sure you subscribe to our channel if you haven't done so. And here's a great video featuring Henry, a.k.a. Mr. Keebler, and his pal Al. It's the Smash of Hazard theme song. It's right on our home screen there at youtube.com/smashamash. Just a good old smash. Never meaning no harm. Beats all you've never saw. Been in trouble on social media since before it existed.
Just a good old smash. Never meaning no harm. Beats all you'd never saw. Been in trouble on social media since before its existence. Straightening facts. Smacking down hacks. Someday our viewers might get me, but big tech never will. Making my way the only way I know how. That's just a little bit more than big tech will allow. Just a good old smash. Wouldn't change if I could. Fighting the nonsense, it's a neo-renaissance in the hood.
Yeah, so press like, press subscribe, folks. Tell your friends and foes about us, as I don't think we've been particularly recommended. And we've been doing the Daily Space Weather videos for over 4 years now. Thanks to everybody who has pressed the subscribe button and so on. And what else would you like to talk about? We're going to bring up some additional news sources here. One that's a little bit more reputable to our regular viewers, perhaps. And I'm going to put it on the screen briefly, as once again, I don't want to get in any trouble when it comes to things like copyright strikes. So there's what we're talking about. I think that's about long enough. And we'll see what the top headline is, or perhaps the most interesting headline on this perhaps libertarian news source. And let us know what your largest geopolitical concern is. Is it economics? Is it security? Is it... What is it? What is your largest Excuse me, I'm chugging energy drinks here. What is your largest geopolitical concern? And when we say geopolitics, we're talking about the politics on the international scale. So one of the reasons why we study the sun is because of cosmology on an intergalactic scale, since our understanding of the sun is related to what's going on in the cores of distant galaxies, right? We like to study geopolitics on the international scale. And of course, things look very differently when you're looking at what's going on in your local municipality versus your county versus your state, your country, your continent, your region on the planet, your hemisphere, your planet, right? Not to suggest you own the planet, but the planet on which you reside. And of course, economics has been something that, well, I didn't get in depth into until about 1999, the year 2000. That was when I became a day/swing trader. And if you're not familiar with those terms, a day/swing trader is a day trader who doesn't want to lose his money. In other words, if you're not a day trader per se, what happens is you don't have to liquidate all of your assets at the end of the day. You can hold them for as long as you want. And I only traded long positions. I largely focused on dead cats and tech stocks. And it was an exciting time. I was largely chasing the tech tiger. But let's just say when the NASDAQ crash happened, my portfolio bucked the trend of what the rest of the market was doing because I was paying very close attention to things. So that caused me to sort of understand stuff, but it wasn't really until I understood money itself, because without understanding the means of exchange, you might know a lot about individual stocks or entire sectors or even the history of economics, but without understanding what's going on with fiat currency, inflation, banking, the Federal Reserve, and so on, you're probably missing a piece of the puzzle. So it wasn't until I read a book that I won't directly endorse here. It wasn't until I read a certain book about the Federal Reserve that I really understood the way economics works. And what is your missing piece of the puzzle? If there's something you don't understand about finance, tell us in the comments. Perhaps it's something I could rant on. So it looks like we're getting a global diesel shortage. And I have to wonder if Middle Eastern oil producers, such as OPEC, are intentionally throttling the supply of diesel fuel. Now, that seems like it would be a very bad idea. However, if you are a billionaire who doesn't care what the price of anything is, your concern is the effects on the rest of the economy. So who knows what people's motives might be? Have you noticed the way Meta, I like this. This is a great article here. I'm going to put this one up here briefly and give it a quick scroll. Again, feel free to pause the video if you want to read the article here. I'm just going to give this a quick scroll through because, well, I find it very interesting that all of a sudden, Meta, who is so concerned about what people are posting about, quote, hate speech, end quote, and about threats of violence and calls for people being killed and so forth, suddenly allows extremist propaganda against Putin. Now, I was the first guy to tell people, hey, you probably shouldn't celebrate the death of Osama bin Laden because it's always right to do the right thing and it's always wrong to do the wrong thing, aka never right to do the wrong thing. And it's a cautionary tale, right? Do you remember when Osama bin Laden was taken out, or if you're a conspiracy theorist, allegedly taken out, and people were dancing in the streets and celebrating and saying, yay, bin Laden's been taken down. Yay, I'm so delighted. Celebrating somebody's death is pretty grotesque, last I checked. And is it that hard to have a filter? I mean, who's going to go out and dance in the streets because one guy got taken out? Really? That is propaganda on the scale. That is propaganda on a very high scale of propaganda. Anyway, in any case, we hope news stories aren't controlling your life. We hope that you're separated enough from it that you're not delighted that you can go out on Meta and tell people they ought to go take down Putin. Because that's a terrible idea. His security protocols are not changing at all. There are plenty of people in Russia that have disliked Putin for decades. And it's been an interesting year so far. Let's see if we can find any other stories worth commenting on at ZH. I see somebody forecasting next week will be busy. And of course, we've had a busy week when it comes to solar activity since we've got 3 coronal mass ejections, all Earth-directed. Another prime example of things showing up in threes, like celebrity fatalities showing up in threes. Now, I don't know what's expected to happen this week, but it has certainly been interesting economically over the past 2 years. It's been perhaps the ultimate opportunity that we've ever seen in order to demonstrate leadership in whatever marketplace you occupy. Congratulations to all of you who have. And I have no idea what we're looking at, but a bunch of things have erased a lot of their gains from recent years, largely as a result of mankind's response to the thing at the place where the stuff has the dudes doing the things, where the dudes at the place tell you that the stuff must be done, otherwise the place can't be entered. You know, those dudes, stuff, and places. You know what I'm talking about. It's something to keep an eye on. And when I say eye on, pardon the pun. All right, so what else do we have here? Again, we will put your comments on the screen. Let us know what it is that you're interested in. And thanks for showing up, Kate Bremer, and everybody else who showed up and left comments. If you're viewing in syndication because you didn't get a notification about the live stream, or you were just too busy shoveling snow or whatever, let us know what news stories you find interesting. Now, the stance from Eugene. Well, first of all, let's promote Eugene's channel here. So let's go to youtube.com. Let me bring that all up on the screen. So we'll go to youtube.com. There you go. There's YouTube's homepage. And you may find this video. The thumbnail says, Macron and Schultz told Putin to attack Ukraine. It's called the Ukraine Special. And if you haven't seen it, I highly suggest you check it out.
More of Ukrainians have.
I highly suggest you check it out because Eugene has unique perspective. So if you are an expert on geopolitics and you're not somebody who's getting security briefings from the CIA or something like that, chances are Eugene knows a lot more about geopolitics in Europe, especially northeastern Europe, than you do, as he lives in Minsk, Belarus. So just to give you an idea of what we're talking about here, here's Belarus. Minsk is up here somewhere. And Eugene seems to think that Russia is toast. And I tend to agree. Now, Russia's economy is roughly the size of Florida's economy. And this map here doesn't even show the entire area. All of this right here is Russia. All of this. And there's even more off to the east side of this map. So that's a huge area. There are vastly disparate ethnic groups of people in all of these regions. And the point is, in my opinion, Russia is barely able to control this area. Do you really think they're able to control this area? And this area? And this area? Really? Really? Is that your theory? That's a terrible theory. Let me go back to the beginning of this segment.
It's an establishment. How are they going to negotiate all of this? Maybe they would attack, by they I mean Putin's forces. They would attack Ukraine or Poland, maybe Lithuania, who knows.
Anyway, check out Eugene's video as he's got extreme perspective on this. And let's bring up your chats once again. I'm going to let these scroll through. Thanks once again, everybody, for showing up to the live stream. Tell your friends and foes about us, even if you're viewing in syndication. Anna Marie Kimball doesn't believe that Putin is self-destructing. I don't know why. It certainly looks like he is. He's sending under-equipped troops into a place that is similarly sophisticated to the sophisticated portions of Russia. Ukraine is it is a little on the desolate side. In fact, why don't we go to a map? Let's go to a map. That's what we'll do. We'll go to a map. So let's go to maps.google.com and we'll scroll way out and we'll head over just to look at some geography of what the area is like. So we'll go to layers, we'll bring up a satellite map. Here's a satellite map of Ukraine. And you can see quite a few cities there. Anyway, there's the basic layout of Kyiv or Kiev, whatever you'd like to call it. And of course, Mr. Bagashov's perspective is coming from just north of there, in the nation of Belarus. He's located in Minsk, right about there. And he refers to Belarus as the most Soviet of the former Soviet republics. And what else should we talk about here? What else should we talk about? I'll tell you. Let me rant about what's going on here in Ukraine. To me, what's going on in Ukraine looks a lot like Germany's World War II Eastern Front. What I mean by that is you've got a bunch of under-equipped troops in the wintertime invading a place without the critical infrastructure required. And, obviously the differences are that Ukraine is highly sophisticated, and when Nazi Germany infiltrated, when Nazi Germany attacked places like Czechoslovakia and Lithuania, at the beginning of their opening of the Eastern Front, Germany had a vastly superior military force. What's going on now is not a vastly superior military force. So just because Russia has all kinds of planes, strategic bombers, intercontinental ballistic nuclear missiles, nuclear submarines, a lot of that stuff just doesn't play, folks. A lot of that stuff doesn't come into the equation. Because what it ultimately comes down to is, in my opinion, is there a rifle behind every blade of grass? So the reason why Japan realized that it would be very unfortunate to attempt to attack the U.S. is because if there's a rifle behind every blade of grass, and of course that's a misquoted thing. I don't know if a general really said that. I believe it's a myth that a Japanese Navy admiral actually said this, but the understanding isn't any different. If you're going to send only a moderately well-equipped, trained, and moraled force to take over, to occupy, attack a certain area, they don't really have the they don't have the morale chops that people who are from there will have. So this is what makes the U.S. so dangerous, because there are so many highly trained people which are so well armed, and the network of all kinds of different infrastructure is so sophisticated in the U.S. There are so many different ham radio operators and so many different fully military trained personnel and fully privately trained personnel and so many resources that it's just hilarious. I mean, nobody's gonna attempt to invade the U.S. It's the worst. If you thought Vietnam or something like that looked like a quagmire, invading the U.S. would be, let's just say, unfortunate. And of course, any bad commands coming down the command chain of the U.S., United States military officials are trained to disobey orders that violate the U.S. Constitution. That is an effort to decentralize the command structure. Because if the command structure suddenly decides that they're going to become completely corrupt, then every NCO is swears an oath to disobey those commands. So that would cause the entire situation to become fractionalized. The idea that some kind of martial law is going to take over the U.S., I just don't see it. It's not happening. One thing that Eugene got wrong on his video was that North America is going to turn into like one country, where Canada and parts of Central America and Mexico will all become one country. That's just not going to be a thing. The U.S. will remain the best place to invest. The U.S. will remain the sort of the reserve currency of the world, because while inflation is happening here in the U.S., it's happening worse in the rest of Western nations. So I just figured I would bring that up, since it seems to be kind of important. In other words, the euro and the yen and other large world currencies are simply going to experience worse inflation than the US dollar. So while all of those currencies will continue to inflate, while the price of gold may continue to rise with respect to currencies, the US dollar will still largely remain, with respect, I'll just say. Now, the problems don't go away as a result of that. Check it out. Mr. Keebler purchased $10,000 in physical bullion when it was $12 an ounce. So that was actually something that we talked about on the channel. And well done, Mr. Keebler. You probably caused a shortage in your local area. It was very difficult to even find physical silver or gold when that happened. And our regular viewers may have noticed that we were talking about the price of silver when it dropped below $12 an ounce. So well done, Mr. Keebler. That was a very good move. And congratulations, Aaron Soul, on purchasing a guitar. By the way, we may have some collaboration videos coming up to offer you soon. And let's play one more song here and then come back with closing thoughts. Again, we are expecting a coronal mass ejection strike tomorrow on Sunday, March 13th, about midday Universal Time. Midday Universal Time is about 5 hours. 5 hours. Universal Time is 5 hours ahead of Eastern Standard Time. So 12 noon is 7 a.m. on the East Coast. And we're going to play one that we have all over the internet. If you want to look this one up yourself, just type in Golden Cat Productions, and you should find Le Tour de Chance Speed. It's about 3 minutes long. We'll be back after that with closing thoughts. So the cold air is moving in, folks. We're expecting a low of like 20 degrees tonight here in eastern Pennsylvania. We're located right about here in Lehigh Valley. We're looking at the visible satellite here. Part of the NASA GOES Interactive Weather Satellite Suite. And it's pretty sweet. Let's break out the water vapor map. As I think things are mopping up here pretty quickly in eastern PA. And our meteorology segment earlier today would have showed this little impulse to the northeast. See, this is a high pressure system, essentially, as cold air is more massive than moist air. I mean, not moist air. Cold air is more massive than hot air. And you can see that cold air pushing through here. And as this system here makes its way over toward eastern PA, we're going to see cold, cold temperatures. So a prime example of that system being displaced here, I think we got about 4 to 5 inches of snow here in Lehigh Valley, PA. But you can just watch that water vapor satellite there. The area underneath this high pressure zone right here, those are likely clear skies under there. Let's go back to the visible satellite real quick. You can see things are going to rapidly clear up here as that moisture gets pushed out to the northeast. So there's your visible satellite. We'll put your chats back up on the screen and scroll through those one more time. Leave us any other comments you'd like. If you're viewing in syndication, sorry you missed the video. But that's the way the cookie crumbles, folks. I don't know why you don't get notifications when we go live. If you install the Twitch app, you certainly will. Twitch.tv/Smashomash is the URL for that. Twitch.tv/Smashomash. So, lots of facts showing up on the channel. Lots of solar protons showing up at the Earth. Thanks for tuning in. Congratulations on realizing that the channel exists. I've been your host, Dan, a.k.a. Smashomash, coming at you from the core of the Milky Way galaxy here, Sagittarius A star. Wishing you a delightful day. And hoping that solar wind remains at your back. We may see some aurorae tomorrow at mid-latitude, so that's something to look forward to. Perhaps tomorrow night, we may see some aurorae as far south as Pennsylvania. I kind of doubt it. I find it still extremely unlikely that this will happen. But in any case, I've been your host, Dan, a.k.a. Smashomash, signing off from the Smash News Network least busted name.